Well, hello and welcome to my shop, and welcome to this session on sanding. I'm getting ready to sand the clear-coated woods that I'm going to be using for this demonstration. Now, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown as to how I've got things set up. This is a mobile sanding table, and I store all of my sandpaper and sanding products under it. I have a lamp that I have set up here. I don't want to turn on right now because it'll kind of screw up the video there. But it broadcasts light just below my eye level, but onto the wood so that I can see exactly how the sanding process is coming along. I've got a shop vac set up with a cyclone so that it really handles the dust well. And I have it set so that it's hooked up to either of these two sanders that I have that I'm going to be using today. I have my random orbit disc sander. It's a 6-inch unit with a very exceptional integrated dust collection system. And then I've got this 3x21-inch belt sander, and I'm going to be starting with it first because these pieces of wood are fairly rough. Because this piece of wood is fairly rough from the planing, I'm going to put a pencil mark on it before I belt sand it. I've got a 60 grit belt in here. I'm going to put my ear defenders on because it's fairly loud. Because this has an exceptional dust collection system, I'm not going to be wearing my dust mask. Here goes. Now that I belt sanded all of them, I'm going to proceed with random orbit disc sanding. Now I should mention here, I have exceptional dust collection systems on my belt sander. So I know that I don't have to vacuum these off. However, if I did not have a good vacuum system built into the machine, I should go ahead and vacuum these off. The reason being is that the grit that's embedded into the wood that still remains, should I start with the next finer sanding with the random orbit disc sander with an 80 grit disc, it may pick up some of the 60 grit that is embedded into the wood and it'll leave scratches. So when you're transitioning from one disc to another, to a finer grit, you should always ensure that the surface is clean of any sanding grit. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing as before. I'm going to put my pencil marks on so that I can go and sand until those pencil marks are gone. And again, I'm going to check. My pad looks good still, and I'm going to proceed. Now, I finished sanding the one face of all three of these boards. But I should note that as I was sanding, it was taking an awful long time to sand along, and that's probably because the disc that I've got on here is now getting dull. So I always purchase my sandpaper in large lots, and when I do notice that that's happening, I just remove the old disc because it's getting worn, and I replace it with another one. And this is very important to do because some people have the impression that their time is not valuable just because they're a hobbyist or a part-time pro. Well, regardless of whether you're a professional or doing this as a hobby, we only have so much time. And these discs, if you purchase them in bulk, are about 65 to 75 cents each. So the way I look at it is my time is more valuable than the value of the sandpaper, the product that I'm going to be using. So yes, so do that. Good luck with all your sanding. I'm flipping the other sides over and I'm going to do them now. So in addition to your sandpaper taking longer to sand something, if you've continued to sand beyond its usable life, is that you'll find that you're actually burnishing the wood. So instead of the sandpaper being sharp enough to cut the wood away, it's actually burnishing it, and that's going to create further problems for you down the road. So I'm moving from my 80 grit to my 120, but because I've used this disc for just a little bit, I'm just going to put a single line through it, and that tells me that I've hardly used this. So I put this disc back into the box, and then I know by just a quick look, I know that I've used it already as compared to others where there's no lines on it. Now if I'd used this twice but I felt it still had some life, then I put a second line in it. So I'm just going to set it back in the box. Now I'm going to switch out for my P120. And this of course is a different product. This is made by Mirka. It's the Aberlon product, and it's got a mesh surface. So in my article I wrote about mesh backed paper, sandpaper, and I find this to be just exceptional. Another thing that's nice about it, I don't have to worry about lining up the holes with the vacuum air holes. I just put it on and away I go. Now isn't that slick? Have a great day.